of Duty has been one of my favorite game franchises ever since I was 9 years old. I started off the series playing Black Ops 1, then went to Black Ops 2, and then the first Call of Duty game I owned, which back then was arguably the worst Call of Duty game of all time, was Call of Duty Ghosts, which I actually had fun with. And comparison by today's Call of Duty standards, that game actually probably looks like a gigantic improvement compared to the new shit that we get nowadays. But I think, honestly, I am done with Call of Duty. And I feel like a lot of people who see this video are going to share that exact same feeling after seeing everything that Sledgehammer and Infinity Ward are doing with Modern Warfare 3. It's surprising to me that people, at least from what I've seen on social media, have actually just fed right back into the COD cycle again. Going from hating the Call of Duty that we're playing right now, which everyone unanimously agrees Modern Warfare 2 is not a good game. Now you want to compare it, in a vacuum devoid of like every other Call of Duty game that we've ever had. It's not terrible. The campaign was actually a really good game, and it did follow up Modern Warfare 2019's campaign very well. It was actually one of the only parts of the game that I actually did like. And a lot of people share that same, feeling and sympathy and all that other stuff. But we never got, in Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer, everything that Modern Warfare 3 is going to get. And we're acting like all these changes that are coming to Modern Warfare 3 are these gigantic changes that are like big new innovations that like everyone has been asking for this entire time, without even realizing that it's the same stuff that we've been used to from older Call of Duty games that should have already been in Modern Warfare 2, but they're going to repackage it and resell us the exact same game with all these changes for another $70. Do you guys remember when Modern Warfare 2 actually came out and we were told by Activision that we were supposed to get Year 2 DLC for this game? What happened to that? Where's the Year 2 DLC? Activision said they weren't going to be making a new Call of Duty game this year. Not only that, this is the first time we've ever had a direct sequel to one of the developers', trilogies and whatnot. Well, one of their ongoing series. My fault. This is the first time we've ever got a direct sequel with basically the exact same developers. And technically, this is put into the same boat that the original Modern Warfare 3 was put in, because they had to call in Sledgehammer to help Infinity Ward finish this game. The same way they had to do the original Modern Warfare 3. Now, don't get me wrong, the original Modern Warfare 3 is still a good game. Compared to, like, most COD games, in my opinion, I think it's, like, a 7, maybe a 6. It's not that good, but it's not awful. But Activision, when are you going to realize that you are stretching your developers completely thin? Or maybe you already do realize that, and the only reason you're still making these games is because you want all the money that your item shops are still bringing in. But the reason that the item shops are still bringing in money is because they're not the biggest cash grab like supply drops were many years ago. You guys remember when that was the biggest complaint in Call of Duty? Honestly, at this point, I'd much rather go back to that, because at least then, when the supply drops were in the game, we actually got a functional game that was actually fun. Yeah, I mean, it was still, a grindy process if you didn't actually pay for them or anything like that. But I'd still rather have that over $20 bundles for, like, one skin and one camo on one gun. Like, you guys remember back in Black Ops 2 and Ghost? When you could pay, like, $2 for a camo that would go on every single weapon in the game? Some might have cost like $3 or $4, but they were actually good camos and they went on every single gun. Now, you get charged like $2 or 200 COD points for a fucking red dot in like some of these later games. And it's crazy to me. But originally I meant to make this video like a week ago, just, explaining like where I stand on COD. And as I kept putting it off, like new stuff just kept coming out. Not like a couple days ago, we had, Mr. David Vonderhaar. He finally, got up and left Treyarch. And a lot of people are speculating, even myself, are speculating that the main reason he left is because his creativity was getting pushed out of the way in favor of what would make Activision the most money with the least amount of effort as fast as possible. And, like, it's sad to say that out loud, but it's the truth. There was even a quote by another COD YouTuber, Mr. T. Lexify, that he read from someone who tweeted it out on Twitter. I forget exactly who their name was, but he tweeted out, like, under the post from David Vonderhaar, not the one that Treyarch put up, I'm pretty sure, but I'm pretty sure it was what David Vonderhaar actually put on his Twitter, and they said, COD has become a manufacturing line. Put in as little amount of effort as possible to just make a game and sell bundles. It's basically just an item shop with a game added onto it. It's not a game with an item shop added onto it. The item shop is the game. Because Activision doesn't care if the game is actually working. I wouldn't be surprised if when Modern Warfare 3 officially launches, not the beta, but when the game fully launches, there is going to be so many problems that it's going to take them a month to catch up and actually fix most of the problems. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way the game actually works, but the item shop is there on day one and there will never be any problems with it, right? Because if we can make the $25 off this one player who just wants to buy one bundle and one bundle only, then that's better than all the effort we put into this game. After all, it's just repackaged, recycled garbage from the last game that we just made. Which, speaking of Modern Warfare 3 and everything they're going to try to add to the game that's innovative, really? You're bringing back the original Modern Warfare 2 maps in Modern Warfare 3. And not Terminal, from the original Modern Warfare 3 that was brought in from Modern Warfare 2. Not just a couple of maps. No, you're bringing the entire classic maps, all of them, from Modern Warfare 3. Or, I'm sorry, from Modern Warfare 2 and putting it in Modern Warfare 3. When you had every single one of those maps in Warzone and DMZ, and you just never put them into Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer. Do you not find that a little ridiculous? That's not even funny. That's actually just straight up ridiculous. Because you know what it could have been? That could have been the Year 2 DLC. It didn't have to be a full game. It really didn't have to be a full game. But you guys chose to make it a whole new game. Just because you knew that you would get people who would buy it to buy bundles. And that's sad to me. That is actually sad to me. And the biggest thing for me as to why I'm not, even going to think about buying this next year's Call of Duty game is just because Call of Duty, minus everything I've just said so far, has been on an enjoyment decline for the last... Actually, it's been on an enjoyment decline pretty much ever since, Advanced Warfare came out, because they keep adding innovation that people didn't like, and as time goes on, people, kind of think back fondly, and they're like, you know what? I hated this, but at least the game was finished. I think, honestly, the biggest reason as to why we don't enjoy these games nowadays is not even just because of the fact that Activision is just trying to sell bundles in a game that's not finished, but it's also, COD players, including me, don't even know what we want in Call of Duty games anymore. Because they can't appeal to everybody. They try to appeal to the masses, and when they do appeal to the masses, there's a whole bigger community who actually get mad at that. And even if they don't get mad at it, they've got their audience who will sympathize with them and say the game's bad because it doesn't have this one niche feature, which is sad to say out loud, but it's kind of the truth. But getting back on the whole enjoyment thing with COD, I haven't enjoyed a COD game since Cold War. And even in Cold War, my enjoyment of the game died around July. And after that, I've moved on. And, I mean, granted, I was one of the few people that actually stopped the COD cycle early, even in my youth. The last COD game that I actually ended up buying was Advanced Warfare. Didn't play the multiplayer in it. I skipped out on Black Ops 3, which to an extent I kind of regret. Looking back on it, I do kind of regret that I missed out on Black Ops 3. But then there's another part of me that's it was probably a better thing to do that. Didn't play Infinite Warfare. I bought Modern Warfare Remastered years after. I got it for $2 at a discount game store, just because it was $2 and I wanted to play the campaign again. I did not play World War II at all, but I did get a copy of it from my friend because he was trying to get rid of it. And then I got back into the COD cycle with Black Ops 4, which a lot of people will say that Black Ops 4 is not that good of a game. Personally, I kind of disagree with that because I had a lot of fun with that game. I played that game a lot. I got to Prestige Master in both the multiplayer and the zombies. I didn't like Blackout at all, by the way. I fucking hate the Battle Royales in Call of Duty that we've had now. I don't like Warzone 2. I didn't like the original Warzone at all. Played it when it came out, and never played it again. I played 4 matches of Blackout, I think. I think that's what my account says I have, 4 matches of Blackout ever. I didn't like it at all. Then Modern Warfare 2019 came out. And that was honestly, the last COD game that I actually had true enjoyment in. That game was so much fun for me to play. I didn't have as much time played in it as I did Black Ops 4, but my God, that game was just so much fun. There were a lot of bad things about the game. obviously. But it felt like with that game, there was actually a lot more like community management, if that makes sense. Like they actually tried to appeal to the multiplayer community a lot up until Warzone came out, and then the game was kind of boring from then on and there out. But up until that point, that game was actually really fun. I did like the game a lot. And then Cold War, I didn't have as much time played in it as I had Modern Warfare, but I loved the zombies in Cold War. I actually went for the Mastery camo in zombies because I actually liked the zombies in that game a lot. I didn't have that much time played in the multiplayer a lot. Looking back on it, my complaint about the multiplayer is still, I think, validated for me just because the multiplayer, for me, like, I have the weirdest complaint with the multiplayer, which a lot of people don't agree with me on, but I'm still going to state it just because I think it's one of the biggest reasons why I didn't like the multiplayer. I didn't like the multiplayer because Treyarch tried to combine, like, the old arcadey, like, movement feeling with Modern Warfare 2019's new, aggressive, kind of, like, more fluid movement system. It's really hard to describe, but if you have Cold War, like, on your system right now, honestly, load up a private match of just anything and just do a little bit of running around and sliding, and then go play Modern Warfare 2019, and then go play one of the older COD games on 360. The 360 game will feel arcadey. The Modern Warfare 2019 mechanics will feel fluid and smooth, and then Cold War will feel like a mashup of both of those. So it makes it feel uncomfortable. It's a stupid complaint, I know, but it's kind of what ruined the multiplayer for me, personally. Like, just, well, that and then them nerfing snipers a million times. But that's just my opinion. We'll move on from it. And then we get to Vanguard. And oh boy, I don't know why I wasted my money on that game, especially because since I deleted it, I haven't even thought about it. Like, I downloaded it because I was one of the few people that actually thought, like, okay, maybe Vanguard won't be as bad as people are saying it is. Like, yes, it's obvious that it's just there to pump World War II guns into Warzone. We all know this, but maybe it won't be that bad. I am not making that mistake again. Honestly, I am not making that mistake again. And do you want proof that I regret buying Vanguard? That is my total playtime for the entire game. Like, for the entire time I ever played the game. It's not, like, I don't even have it installed on my console. I deleted that, like, a year and a half ago. I played the game for 8 hours. And that was it. That was within, like, the first 2 weeks of the multiplayer coming out. And you want to know the only reason I even liked the multiplayer at the start? Was because it was broken as fuck. Like, the only things I can remember on the multiplayer that I actually enjoyed, which, again, were glitches in the first place, was shotguns, for some reason, had a ridiculous range on them, and the trench knife, or whatever it was called in the game, the tack knife, you could lunge so much further than you needed to. Or maybe it was the bayonets. I don't know, just something had to do with, like, knifing. You could just knife so much further. That was it. That's all I cared about in that game. I didn't care about, like, anything else that got to do with it. I didn't care about the campaign. And we're not going to talk about zombies. Zombies doesn't need to be talked about. Like, the less said about zombies, the better. And then, you know, we get up to Modern Warfare 2 2022, where when the game came out, I actually did have a lot of fun with it. Like, compared to Vanguard, 5 days. 5 days playing that game's multiplayer. I even was originally going to go for the Mastery camo in that game. I got Platinum Assault Rifles and SMGs. But I stopped playing it within the first month because it bored the shit out of me, and I haven't touched it since. And with these last 2 COD games that I bought, I feel like I've wasted my money because I haven't gotten any enjoyment out of them. The only enjoyment that will actually come from, you know, playing these games, like, going forward in the future is I might go back and actually play the campaigns and actually finish them. Because as time goes on, I'm starting to realize that, like, I should appreciate the COD campaigns more than I actually do. Which says a lot because Modern Warfare 2019's campaign was the last one I actually finished, which I finished that on realistic mode, but that's the last campaign I can actually remember playing professionally. But, you know, we get to Modern Warfare 3 again, and, you know, the Gamescom showcase that they had today. You know, they had, like, all these innovations and stuff that they were talking about for the campaign alone, where they were like, oh, you can use, like, multiplayer kill streaks in it, and you can take, like, different routes to, you know, approach these campaign missions, which, that sounds cool. But, I mean, you realize that that's not really that much innovation considering the fact that there's been a lot of missions that you can do that in. Like, a lot of missions that you can do that in the past. Now, I know it's been, you know, a good, like, 15 minutes of just me talking, you know, and kind of just ripping on the COD franchise, but if you really think that you're going to have a fun time playing this game, then I can't stop you. I'm just one person. But I would highly advise that you realize that buying this game is contributing to a game developer that does not care or value your money in the way that you think they do. All they care about is getting it to make themselves richer. They do not care about investing your money to make these games better. If they wanted to make these games better, they would give the developers time to make good games, with the item shop being a secondary form of income. Where, yes, they spend time making sure it actually works and making sure the cosmetics are actually worth buying, but it wouldn't be the primary focus of the game. So again, if you want to buy it, I can't stop you. But I would like to think that after seeing, most of my complaints with it, you would kind of, think twice before buying this game. Because I and many other people will not be buying this year's Call of Duty game. And I think this is like the time where we're going to put our foot down and say we are done with the COD franchise completely. Like, we are done contributing to a giant succubus where all they do is just suck the life out of the developers and suck all the money out of our wallets, with the hopes that we, the consumer, would pay them this money to make these games better, and they just keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse. But with that being said, I'm sorry this video was entirely negative, but I just felt like, getting this off just so people understand that it's not worth buying these Call of Duty games, and I don't think you should. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.